From the fourth game in a pretty epic franchise to the first game in a pretty epic franchise that I suck at, this is another 10 games in my NES collection. So starting off right away, this is not a best of list, nothing like that. This is just me looking at 10 games that I have in my NES collection. I've about 130 games left to go before I complete that Nintendo Entertainment System collection. So I just like to go through the games, play some of them, check them out, talk to you folks about them. Maybe they're games that you remember from your childhood. Maybe they're games you still love playing to this day. We're gonna jump in, look at 10 more that I have in my NES collection. Game number 141 in my NES collection is gonna be Mega Man 4. By this point in that NES Mega Man series, it was 1991. The Super Nintendo was released, and a lot of other games were making that leap over to the 16-bit system. Now, while the first 3 games in that Mega Man series on the Nintendo Entertainment System had gone from awesome but intensely difficult with Mega Man 1 to iconic with Mega Man 2, and then to my personal favorite, the awesome Mega Man 3. By the time we hit Mega Man 4, a lot of us kids had already jumped over to bigger and better things, more super things, if you would, over on the Super Nintendo. I don't think I even ever saw Mega Man 4 in the rental store. I honestly didn't even know exactly how many Mega Man games were on the NES until I started collecting for the system. So it is a little bit sad that this one might have got overlooked by a lot of us back then. In Mega Man 4, we get some new abilities. There's some new ideas that come to us with this one. A new villain enters the lore of Mega Man here with Dr. Cossack, and we get that charge shot that I personally like. You just hold down that B button and power that weapon of yours up, and then you just get to blasting. This one is a fun game. It is difficult, probably a little more so than the third one for me, but it's got some really great level designs, and that makes for some really fun gameplay. I really like some of these levels, but when it comes to the bosses and their weapons, this one kind of feels like they pulled back the reins a little bit too hard, and we didn't get as good weapons as we did from the first 3 we saw in the past. But honestly, with that charge shot, we might not really need those weapons from the bosses. There are some cool upgrades in this one. Rush is back, our trusty Robo-Dog with his 3 forms of assistance. And we even get a grappling hook in this one, which as a kid from the 80s, I really thought a grappling hook was gonna be a lot more of a necessity than it ever turned out to be. This one is a good game. It's a Mega Man game that doesn't stray too far from what works, and I'm really glad to have this one in my collection.
New となる敵がロックマンを襲う。行く手を阻む者は誰だ。ファミコン用ソフトロックマン4新たなる野望12月6日発売。
Game number 142 is Wampum. Now, I'm really not sure what to say about Wampum. This one is a reskin of a Japanese game, Sayuki World 2, The Evil Spirits of Heaven. In this one, they took a game that was meant to have taken place in Japan. They moved that over to a Wild West theme, and then they took the character and they turned him into a Native American warrior named Soaring Eagle, and he's on an adventure to find these totems for his magic pouch. This one is an interesting reskin. Some of the levels don't really match up with that old Western theme that they're going for here, but back in 1991, I don't think that many of us that picked it up would have noticed that. Now, at the start of this game, we get one of those intro levels that's just there to kind of show us how the game functions before we get brought over to a stage select screen. Now, I did play and own this one as a kid. And for some reason, because of that stage selection screen, it always gave me Adventure Island series of games feel. I don't really know why. The look of that stage selection screen, I think, is part of it. Even to this day, it feels like those two are connected, even though they're absolutely not. Once we do pick a stage that we want to start at, the levels in this one totally have that Mega Man feel to them. This is absolutely one of the many games like that on the NES, but Wampum does a pretty good job. I like the look and the feel of the stages. I like the level hazards and the sprites in this one. I think they're really fun. It's the same as the Mega Man games where the bosses give us those power-ups, and at least one of those bosses is pretty close to a carbon copy of a Mega Man boss. I mean, look at this. Is that Woodman to anyone else? Now, as we go, we can pick up health, weapons, upgrades, and armor. You can farm the enemies and level up, but I have heard that the bosses level up along with you, so you might run into some issues if you do level up before you're really ready for it. It's got infinite continues, but one death and you are back to the start of the level, which can make this one a little bit on the tedious side if you're like me and enjoy those frequent trips into the pitfalls that you can find in some of these levels. Wampum is an interesting game. It definitely feels like a Mega Man game, but because I had it as a kid, I'm really excited to have it back in my NES collection. All right, game number 143 in my NES collection is gonna be Funhouse. This is based off of a game show that was on Fox Kids by the same name that basically was a Double Dare ripoff. Now, they may have done the TV show exactly the same as Double Dare, but when it comes to the video game version of this one we got for Funhouse, they went an opposite direction altogether. In this one, each level feels like a child's version of Running Man with that basic top-down view. It's Smash TV, but nowhere near as good. We're on rollerblades and we're cruising around the levels trying to throw tomatoes at a series of targets. And that sounds pretty easy and simple, doesn't it? But the controls on this one are some of the worst you are ever going to experience. It's like I'm rollerblading on a sheet of ice while trying to use a slingshot made of yarn to shoot these tomatoes at a spinning pinwheel. I don't know what this one is. I don't even know how to control this one. Whatever you do, do not make the mistake of picking up the shoes upgrade, because then it's like strapping a rocket pack onto a penguin and then pushing the poor little guy out onto a frozen lake with that rocket pack set on max power. Funhouse is honestly one that I would actually avoid. Even if you remember the TV show as a kid and have memories of it, this one just isn't very good. This is definitely one to leave on the shelf.
You know what really makes us mad? Everything they tell us to do. Keep yourself clean. Don't be in such a hurry. Don't make a mess.
Well, now there's a show where kids can make big messes and win prizes for it.
$520.
Funhouse, what more do you need out of life?
Today at 5 on Channel 2. There's only 1, 2.
Game number 144 in my NES collection is going to be City Connection. This one comes from us from Jalico and is kind of an interesting one. This is a port of a coin-op game that came out in Japan in 1985 and then came to the Famicom a few months after. Here in North America, it came to the arcades as Cruisin', which wasn't as much of a hit here as it was over there. But come 1988, they brought it to the NES under that name of City Connection again. This one is simple. We're driving around in this Honda hatchback trying to avoid police cars, all while filling in all the little white blocks that we can drive on. This is a territory control game that kind of has an inspiration from Pac-Man with this real mappy feel to it. It's an interesting game, it's a simple game, and this is one that is probably worth a try. But because it's as simple as it is, this one in today's world definitely wouldn't have a lineup at the arcades. Definitely isn't one that the kids today would enjoy putting in the system and playing. Game number 145 in my NES collection is going to be Golgo 13, The Secret Episodes. This one is based off the popular manga of Golgo 13. In this one, we play as Duke Togo, also known as, yeah, you guessed it, Golgo 13. This one starts out with a helicopter that's transporting a biological weapon getting shot down, which we, as Golgo 13, get blamed for. The story is basically that we need to clear our name, we need to find the weapon and track down the person or persons responsible. Come on, no. Oh. This one throws me off right away because they did swap the buttons around on this one. So I'm jumping when I want to be shooting my weapons, and I'm shooting my weapons when I want to be jumping. Why they would have done this, I don't really know. I feel like there was a standard for button layouts back then, but when games swapped it around, it makes the game difficult to just pick up and play, which doesn't help Golgo 13. But if you can get over that, you do end up with a game that isn't too horrible here. It swaps back and forth between different gameplay styles, from this side-scrolling level to a gallery shooter. There's shoot-'em-up levels, first-person maze-style levels, and even a cool sniper-style area to it, with blood in it, on the NES, which I don't really know how that one snuck by the sensors. The one thing that can make this one a little bit tedious is the backtracking and the underwater levels. But if you're looking for a game that takes a ton of different gameplay styles and actually makes them fit into the story fairly well, if you can follow along with the story in this one is worth a try. It is a bit of a hidden gem. You're just going to need to rewire your brain so you can get that button swap figured out to play this one. Game number 146 in my NES collection is one that I do wish I had rented or played as a kid, because it's a lot of fun. It's gonna be Jackal. This one is an overhead run and gun game that was originally released by Konami to the arcades in 1986. Now, we're maneuvering around in these armored jeeps in order to try to rescue these POWs that are trapped in this enemy territory. I was really impressed with this one. I like the gameplay. It's super fun with 2 players. And other than the direction that the bullets fire, this one is a really solid title. I like the graphics, I enjoy the challenge of it, and it has a really classic NES feel to it for me for some reason. It's one that I would highly suggest picking up if I wanted to have a fun time playing with a friend. Me and my buddy Rabbit played it last Halloween, and we had a lot of fun with it. Jackal is a game that I'm really excited to finally have in my NES collection. It's one that I missed out on as a kid. I'm just glad to have it now. Right? Hold the door. Yeah, at least they don't like, okay, so there we go. So we want to, there we go. Park, and we want to kill that guy there first. Game number 147 in my NES collection is going to be Air Fortress.
Are you really good at video games? And are you ready for some real action? Then you're ready for Air Fortress from HAL America. The game that pits you against awesome firepower. And an intricate maze of airlocks, passageways, and corridors. where you blast and dodge danger at every turn. Until you destroy the power reactor. Then get out before it blows! Air Fortress, selected for the 1990 Nintendo World Championships and now available for $49.95 plus postage and handling by calling OMLC at 800-468-5354. Order now and receive game plus t-shirt and Air Fortress poster. Don't delay. Visa and MasterCard accepted. Call 800-468-5354 now.
Air Fortress is another one of these NES games that has some different gameplay styles mixed into it. This one comes to us from HAL, and in it we actually get to play as a character named HAL. In this one, we're traveling to and taking out 8 of these air fortresses. This one starts out with a side-scrolling shoot-'em-up style of gameplay. We're flying what I initially thought was a spaceship, and we're trying to get to the first air fortress as we blast through the enemies and the level in this one. In this area, you're gonna see these E and these B level ups, and those are ones you're gonna need to focus on grabbing. Definitely get those E power-ups because you're gonna need those here right away. Because when we get to that first air fortress, we're gonna see that it's not actually a spaceship at all. This is actually HAL, and he is just riding on some sort of space rocket bike, I guess. Once we get into the fortress, the gameplay style does change a little bit to this side-scrolling jetpack floating kind of level where we're exploring through these air fortresses. Honestly, Air Fortress is a really fun one. This can be a bit of a bullet hell style of game once we get into the Air Fortress parts, especially as we get deeper into the game. This one does land on quite a few hidden gems lists. It's fun to rocket bike around and then explore the levels while we're trying to find that core nucleus of the Air Fortresses and destroy it. But then once you do destroy it, you need to escape, and sometimes you're gonna need to be cruising to get out of there on time. But the best part about this one, in my opinion, is that there's a password system. So you can play this until you're done for the day and come back to it. And unlike some of the other games from the time, the password system on this one is only 4 digits, which is awesome. And having a 4-digit password system absolutely saves my carpal tunnel while I'm trying to write down a password. Not like Roger Rabbit or something like that, where the password is like 97 characters long. Game number 148 in my NES collection is gonna be an LJN title. It's one that you might remember and you might even have fond memories of. It's gonna be Friday the 13th. Now, back in the day, we all knew who Jason was. The mask, that machete, it was pretty common knowledge around the playground that he was one of the scariest dudes when it came to horror movies back then. The NES game came to us in February of 1989. This one has that LJN branding on it, but it was actually developed by Atlas, who you might know from today being a pretty big developer out there. This one has that NES classic blue and purple look to Jason. We play as one of 6 camp counselors, each with varying levels of running, jumping, throwing, and rowing abilities in this side-scrolling perspective of gameplay. In this one, the goal is to find and defeat Jason Voorhees 3 times before he eliminates all of the campers and takes out all of your camp counselors. This game got a lot of negative reviews back in the day for the gameplay and the difficulty, but today it's a game that a lot of people do speedruns on. You should definitely check out Zero the 14th. He has a lot of fun speedruns of this one on his channel. Super fun to watch, does different challenges as he does these speedruns. Definitely a channel that I think you should check out. If you can figure it out, it is an enjoyable game. And even if you can't, we got that blue and purple Jason out of the deal with this one. So for that reason, I think it's kind of a cool game looking back on it. Game number 149 in my NES collection is going to be Rad Racer. Rad Racer, also known as Highway Star in Japan, is a racing game developed and published by Square for the Nintendo Entertainment System in 1987. I feel like Rad Racer is a game that we all heard about back in the day. And I think that's probably right, considering it sold 1.96 million copies and is considered one of the best racing games on the NES. This one has that classic behind the vehicle perspective to it, and it is a ton of fun. We're racing in either a 328 twin turbo or an F1 machine, which, other than the looks of them, they drive pretty much the same as we race in this Trans-America style race from the West Coast to the East Coast. I don't really know what else to say about Rad Racer. It's a classic NES game. It's one that I feel like we all remember and most of us probably played, either at a friend's house or we rented it, or it's one that maybe we even just watched an older brother play. Rad Racer, classic game on the system. So glad to have this one in my collection, and I think it's really cool that it was developed by Square back in the day.
Play Rad Racer. Play with power. It's turbo speed in 3D. It's treacherous tracks, hot cars, hairpin turns. One mistake and you'll roll. Rad Racer, only from Nintendo. Now you're playing with power.
If you watched my 10 games in my Super Nintendo collection not too long ago, you'll know that I absolutely suck at Super Ghouls and Ghosts, which means that I'm going to suck even more at game number 150 in my NES collection, Ghosts and Goblins. Ghosts and Goblins is a 1985 platform game that was developed and published by Capcom for the arcades originally. This one is the first game in the Ghosts and Goblins franchise and is among the top 10 highest grossing arcades of 1986 in Japan and in the US. The NES version of this game sold 1.6 million units worldwide. This one is known by many of us as a difficult game from our childhood. We go up against zombies, demons, cyclops, dragons, and a ton of other monsters in this one as we try our best to rescue the princess. And after all of that, just making it through the game once isn't enough. After we battle our way to that last level, we rescue the princess, we beat the final boss, we actually had to replay the entire game over again on a higher difficulty level to reach that genuine final ending. Like, I can hardly make it to the second level, let alone beat the final boss, and then beat the game a second time on an even harder difficulty. This is one that I'm really glad to have in my NES collection, even though I'll probably never see the actual ending of it or even make it to the final boss for the first time. Ghosts and Goblins is such a cool game. The first one in that series, we got spin-off games because of this one. We got all those ghouls and ghosts games. This is such a great title, such an amazing game to have as game number 150 in my NES collection.
お姫様が魔界の使者にさらわれたってよ。助けるのは君だ。できるかな？ファミコンソフト魔界村カプコンから要約しなくちゃ。